So, on this episode of Return to Her TV, I'm talking about the after effects of divorce and where our children stand. So, I had this thought, well, many thoughts. My child is an adult now, so I look at the decisions he make. I look at how the job he has. I look at the things that he's putting into place for his life. And inevitably, I think this happens as the divorce is happening, 1 or 2 years after the divorce, as they grow up, we start questioning, and I think this is a mom thing. It might even be a cultural thing. I don't know if it's a black mom thing or not. But we start questioning, did we make, show, and model the best decisions after the divorce? Now, I am of one who checks myself before checking anybody else. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. It is a thing. And I know that's hard, especially in the immediate aftermath, or not even in the aftermath, the happenings of divorce, while you're in the midst of it. But I question myself if I have helped him see what a woman who has been through something challenging can look like. Like, what does that look like? We all go through challenges in different ways. And I do believe the challenges are to show us what in our lives we want to be better, we want more of, what we don't want any more of. Like, that contrast to peace and happiness is there for a reason. Because I believe it helps us weed out all the BS. And once we start weeding those things out, then we start to make clearer decisions for ourselves. And our intentional life starts to take place and take shape. So, I admit that these thoughts kind of snuck up on me this time, as life does. But how do we then still create an intentional life for ourselves if life keeps happening? I think that's why I became a coach, because it's possible, because I've done it. And I've done it with some grace, no ease, and somewhat kicking and screaming. Now, after I stopped the kicking and screaming, I asked myself, what did I want my son to see from me? What would affect his happiness? Because at the time, he was 8 years old. He's 26 now. So yes, it's been a while. And what did I want him to get from me about life in general? So I had to make a decision. Okay? I had to make a decision on what I wanted in order for him to be happy. What did I have to do? And that was not sacrificing myself. I think there's a big difference between sacrificing and compromising, and we often get those two so confused. Because if someone is sacrificing for you, truly sacrificing, that means they're giving up something that they truly love. And I don't believe you should have to sacrifice yourself to raise your children. There is compromise, right? There's compromise. So maybe today we eat your chicken nuggets, baby. We can do that for dinner, okay? There is, if you want to go to this event, then you have to clean out this thing, the garage, do some extra chores, whatever that looks like. There are compromises that we make, I think, along the way, and as they grow and develop. And one of the things I had to learn was compromising, not sacrificing, and how that gave him his voice. Okay? When you compromise, you help them develop executive functioning, a higher level of thinking, analytical. How can they create these results for themselves. And as I look at the life that I started thinking about what was possible for me, how could I make sure my son was happy? And for me, the best decision was for his mama to be happy. So what did that mean? What did that do? Listen, I started really looking at what was going on here mentally, my mindset, of course, and what was going on here, my emotional heart. Because both of those things had taken a hit with the divorce. And I refused to let them stay down. A lot of times we take ourselves out of the count. We're like, I don't want to be bothered. And honestly, that depends on what you went through in your marriage. I can understand. But we go through the I don't want to be bothered. Oh, what I often hear, oh, your daddy ain't. That's another lie. That's another recording, okay? It's another video about respecting your child's father, because I really get tired of this. But when I look at one of the things I wanted to model for him was, how do I show him, though I may not like his father's choices, I still respect him as your father. And that was one of the things I was determined to model for him. Was I 100% successful? No, I'm human, okay? But I do believe I gave him the opportunity to, and his dad, to get to know each other, to shift, to pivot as they needed to, as things change. Because once the divorce has happened, things are going to naturally shift. But then how do you help support that as they get older? How do you help them grow? How do you help them continue to have a relationship and co-parent? And so we're not going into that today. But if you want to know, if you want more information about that, I can give you that. Also realizing, I didn't tell y'all who I am. I see how excited I am about talking about this. I just jumped right on in. So my name is Charlene Michelle, and I am a life and wellness coach for divorced women, helping them create a more intentional, energetic, and creative life full of purpose after divorce. And because of my experience, I decided that this was something I needed to do. Because when I went through my divorce, the main time I decided to do things was, honestly, it was around my son. But I always made sure that I did things for myself so that when he and I were together, he would see a mom that was relaxed, that had energy for him, that wanted to do things with him, that helped create this experience for him that would help minimize, didn't say take away, minimize some of the devastation of the life transition of his father and I splitting. So I encourage you today to think, if you haven't thought about it, think about it for a second. How do you want, and this is mainly for the moms, of course, divorced moms, how do you want your child to see you go through this challenge? And one of the things I know I could have done better was talking about the emotions of it, which is interesting because now that's all I do is talk about the emotions of it. How did that feel? Where do you feel that in your body? I want you to notice and think about it. Where are you feeling it in your body right now? Just thinking about the divorce in general. Where are you feeling it in your body? What emotion comes up for you? And how is that emotion being acted upon? So we either act on emotions, or should I say act out emotions, or we shut down. Unless you have the tools to actually process them and go through them. So I want you to do just one thing for me, is think about how you want to show up for your children after divorce. How do you want them to see you? Okay? And then I'll be back next week for another video and we can talk some more. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please leave them below so that you and I can talk. Okay? And I'll see you next time.